A solitary moment for Boris Johnson last week in Madrid. At the end of 8 days attending summits in Europe and Africa, he's returned to a political storm that could fuel the backbench push to remove him.
They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I wish him the best of luck in seeing if that works as a party management strategy.
The Prime Minister's judgment in appointing Chris Pincher to the government to oversee the discipline and welfare of MPs has been questioned. And since MPs reported seeing him drunkenly grope 2 men last week, some 14 more allegations spanning a decade have surfaced. On Friday, Number 10 said that the Prime Minister knew no specifics about Chris Pincher's alleged behaviour when he made him Deputy Chief Whip. Today, Number 10 said the Prime Minister was aware of reports and speculation about Mr Pincher. On Friday, Number 10 suggested that the Cabinet Office Propriety and Ethics team had signed off on Mr Pincher's appointment. Whitehall experts say that is emphatically not what that group of officials does.
It is not the job of the Propriety and Ethics team to investigate the political rumours about what has gone on either in the Houses of Parliament or elsewhere around London when it comes to improper behaviour, sexual harassment, sexual assault, anything like that.
This is meant to know about.
This is what the party themselves should be managing, should be overseeing. They aren't the police for the political party in question. They don't proactively go out and vet and do the job that the party themselves should be doing.
Tory MPs suggested the Prime Minister had wanted to reward Chris Pincher for a brutal operation in January at the height of the Partygate allegations when he helped to fend off Boris Johnson's party critics. The MP who resigned and triggered a by-election for watching porn in the Commons said Chris Pincher should leave Parliament too.
I mean, I was thrown over the side of the boat straight away, fine. But so should Chris Pincher have been. And then don't stand up and say, well, I didn't know about his behaviour. I mean, he had a minder, for goodness sake, to keep an eye on him. Those that want to put a nail in the Prime Minister's coffin, well, he's just furnished them with another nail to hammer in.
Number 10 knows another by-election loss in Chris Pincher's Tamworth constituency would energise the Prime Minister's critics. But some aren't waiting for that, already plotting to seize control of the backbench committee, which could allow them to change the party rules and force an early second vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson.
Well, I've been speaking to the Conservative MP Caroline Nokes, who's chair of the Women and Equality Select Committee. I asked her first about Downing Street's reaction to the allegations about Chris Pincher.
Well, it leaves us with a very muddied, unclear picture, and certainly what I want is some clarity. But I think most importantly, we've heard from the alleged victim in this case saying that Downing Street simply hadn't moved fast enough to suspend the whip.
If you step back and look at this whole episode and the string of scandal and controversy that the government's been plagued by over the last few months, and so many sexual impropriety cases, what is the impression that the voter has now?
Well, I think the impression that the voter has is incredibly poor, and therefore it's incumbent upon government whips, upon the whole of government and indeed Parliament to come together, come up with a code of conduct that is absolutely clear so that MPs know when they have overstepped a line of behaviour that they will be suspended, that matters will be investigated and taken seriously. And I have to say at the moment, we are all being tainted by the pox on all of your houses from the electorate because they think we're all the same.
I mean, this is in the context, of course, of 148 Conservative MPs thinking Boris Johnson should quit and talk about another vote, changing the rules. Do you think this is playing into that and changing the way people feel?
Well, I don't think that this is actually about whether people have confidence in the Prime Minister or not. I really don't. I think this is about people like me wanting there to be confidence in the system that disciplines MPs, wanting there to be confidence that their members of Parliament are not only going to stick to the 7 principles of Nolan that Nolan put down for public life, but actually to have really high standards of integrity, of decency, of respecting each other. And that's what matters, is that we have a functioning workplace here where colleagues are not afraid about what might happen either in the bars or at parties after work.
Don't you think it does, though, come slightly down to his judgment? I mean, after all, he clearly knew that there were allegations about Chris Pincher when he gave him that job as Deputy Chief Whip. And that tells you something about his attitude towards them, doesn't it?
Well, look, I've certainly had no conversations with the Prime Minister about any appointments that he's made during his entire time in Downing Street. I think we have to have confidence in a system. I think that we should have expected better than what has happened, and that's a huge understatement. But I feel very disappointed that there was no action taken to implement change after the Neil Parish incident, and certainly there looks to have been foot dragging with this one, despite the fact by all reports that whatever the incident was, it was witnessed by other members of Parliament and party whips.
And do you think there's any issue with Boris Johnson as well, sort of adjudicating any of these things himself? Because obviously, after all, he's also a man who has had to deny allegations that he had groped women when he was editor of The Spectator.
Well, look, I think there is a significant problem that we don't have a clear and transparent system as to how matters are going to be investigated. One of the Nolan principles is transparency and openness in public life. So if the Prime Minister did know about these allegations, then I think the Nolan principles indicate very clearly that he needs to tell us what he knew and when.
And just finally, I mean, what a lot of people have said is, oh, everybody knew about the allegations around Chris Pincher, even the Prime Minister. Without naming any names, I mean, are there other people in that category who are in Westminster right now?
I think it is fair to say that this is a place that is always rife with rumour and innuendo. You know, I've been a subject of enough of those rumours myself to know that they're not all true. The reality is that if we had a clear system where people knew who they had to complain to, knew that it would be done confidentially, quickly, with rigorous investigation, then they would have more confidence to come forward. And that's what we need to see, people having the confidence to name names, to make complaints, so that the ICGS can properly investigate, so that the whips properly investigate, don't brush it under the carpet, so that we don't see incidents of really appalling drunkenness and that then being used as an excuse. It's not an excuse.
Caroline Nokes, thank you very much.